the founder and executive director of Kids in Tech. A little bit about Kids in Tech. Can everybody see my screen? Our mission is really simple. We're trying to create the next generation of tech leaders using after-school programs to do so. And the reason why we exist is because kids only spend 20% of their time in school and 80% of the time is outside of school. So this is really the area that we can innovate and help school districts and other youth serving agencies by creating more time for kids to learn and practice their skills. And hopefully they all have the skills to join your companies one day. And so our primary program is our after school tech club, where we essentially partner up with school districts and other youth serving agencies, and we provide hands-on learning projects in person or virtually for kids ages 8 to 14. So anything from typing and coding to web design, graphic design, multimedia. They're practicing, they're playing, and they're discovering and fine-tuning their skills in computer literacy, computational thinking, and so much more. In addition to that, our business model is that we get trained educators and co-pilot that with professionals like yourselves to help kids administer their programming. Our clubs meet twice a week for 60 minutes for the duration of the school year, and each cohort is about 20 kids. So at Kids in Tech, we really take pride in helping our kids be successful. So each year we do like a pre-test and a post-test. And this is our current stats for our students. And we're really happy about this because we know our model is working. The kids love the program. And that's what makes us keep going every day. I do want to share one story about the importance of early education in STEM and tech and engineering, all of those things. There's a student named Naomi. She was with us for the first 2 years that she went to the VOTAC, and now she's doing like engineering technology. So it really is important to get kids to really think about the pathways to these fields, that we need more of them to work at your companies and share their brilliance. So there's ways for you guys to get involved in our program. We're always looking for career day speakers to come talk about how you got to where you are. If you're interested in this opportunity, you simply just have an interview with us and we just schedule you anytime during the course of the school year to come and tell the kids about your job and how you got there. We also have another opportunity for folks who are interested in having more conversation, hosting field trip at your company in person or virtually as well, showcasing your company, letting kids know what has been done in the past. Like Kronos has hosted kids and they did like a virtual scavenger hunt around the company so they could learn about different jobs within the company. So those are some things that you guys could do if you guys were interested. And then we're always looking for volunteers to come once or twice a week and help kids administer their projects. So if you're interested in that, we just usually have a brief application, interview with the staff, and then commit to a semester, and then you trade with other volunteers. And then lastly, we are doing the Beyond the Microscope series, which is a webinar event series where we're getting experts to talk about different education, technology, innovation topics hosted by Kids in Tech and the Globe Soft World and Mass Business Roundtable. Our next event is about the state of STEM education with the historical investments by the Biden administration in school and after school learning space. This is a perfect time to really think about how do we use policy to make sure that more kids are choosing STEM and that they stay and they persist, because we need a lot, 20 to like 50 million US students across the US to actually choose these careers and stay in those fields. So if you're interested in that, you can register at our website. So that's pretty much it. I try to keep it short and sweet. If anybody has any questions, at this time, let me know. But that's a little bit about Kids in Tech, how you guys can get involved. And thank you so much, Stephanie, and to Middlesex 3 for giving me the opportunity to share our work with you guys.
Sorry, I thought this would be a good way to just really get an introduction to what Olu's doing at Kids in Tech, and hopefully people can follow up afterwards as well too. And Melissa, I know we're going to hear more about the work that Burlington's doing in life sciences and especially to educate some of the students. So maybe that's a match there. I'm also going to bring in President Jim Mabry from Middlesex Community College, because I know that this is something that's I'm sure near and dear to your heart, and just trying to encourage more students to get into these STEM jobs as well too, and education. So Jim, it's great to see you. And I know you got a lot of changes going on, so hopefully we'll get to see you in person before the big retirement. So thanks for joining us.
Oh, great to
How
be
are
here.
you? How are you? How's the college?
College is doing fine. It's rolling through the spring semester. Enrollment's looking very positive for the summer, and I'm really hoping that as the pandemic starts to get more under control and that people get back to work, that there will be greater ability for our students to come back to college. So we're really looking forward to that.
What wonderful. Well, I look forward to hearing more about it. And I know we're going to start in just a few minutes. I just want to recognize Katie Enright from Howard Stein Hudson. Katie, thanks for joining us, and Lisa Maroney from the town of Chelmsford. It's good to see you guys. I know we've got a number of people joining the conversation, but anyone want to jump in before I start my presentation, feel free.
I must be the one. I did not know you were retiring, Jim.
Yes, I announced over a year ago at the college to give them time to work through finding a replacement.
There's no replacement for you, Jim. So
a successor. How's that? Thanks, Bob. Appreciate that.
Well, I apologize. I did not know, but that's a tremendous loss.
Well, there's a time for everybody.
Right.
Yeah. But well, congratulations on that, and we look forward to hearing more about that as well too. And with that, I think I'm gonna start to share my screen, so that so that we can start the discussion. And I know people are going to still continue to join us. But let me start this, and then we're going to kick off the conversation. So thank you all for joining us this afternoon. I'm Stephanie Cronin. I'm the director of the Middlesex 3 Coalition, and thanks for joining what's happening in Burlington, with a focus on the town of what's happening in Burlington event. And before we welcome all of our speakers, I do want to encourage everybody to let us know that you're here, and to sign in and to put your information into the chat box, whether it's your contact information, your LinkedIn, with the idea that we just need to keep working through this pandemic and to continue to build relationships and connections. So put all the information in, and hopefully people can get together afterwards for virtual meetings or coffees or whatever we're able to do. So we'll send all that information to everybody after today's event, along with a recording. We are recording this event, so we're going to send that a link to the recording to everybody after as well too. Thank you to Olu Ibrahim from Kids in Tech for joining today's virtual networking. Olu, I love the work that you're doing. She's the founder and president of Kids in Tech, and they've just been doing some great work in the area. And so hopefully, Olu, if you can put information about Kids in Tech as well too, we will, if everybody can mute themselves too. All right, we will include that information in our thank you email as well too. And you know all about the Middlesex 3 Coalition, but we'll put some information in the chat box about that too. And thank you to today's sponsors, Allen and Major. I think many of you know them out of Woburn. And I believe Tim Williams is here from Allen and Majors. Thank you also to Fulcrum Construction, and Bill Jennings is here as well. And to Northeast University Innovation Campus at Burlington. And Sean Williams will be speaking later today to let us know what's going on there. And here's today's agenda. We've got a full agenda today. I won't go through everything because I want to just get right into the program as well too, but we'll be hearing from the town of Burlington, as well as Northeast University Innovation Campus, and what's happening at the district, as well as the Burlington Area Chamber of Commerce. So there certainly is a lot going on. And we have a number of other upcoming events, but we'll send you information about those as well too. But really what I would like to do is stop sharing and turn it over to Paul Sagarino, the town administrator for the town of Burlington. And there you are, Paul. Paul, thank you for joining the conversation. And I know Mike Runyon is here as well too. There you are. Mike, thanks for joining the conversation. I appreciate it, as selectman. And so Paul, I'm going to hand it over to you to start the conversation and with some welcomes, and you can hand it over to Melissa.
Thank you, Stephanie. If you could just give me a second here. I was momentarily blinded by a Bob Buckley sweater. I'm just trying to adjust my eyes. But welcome and thank you to the Middlesex 3 for organizing this event, and to today's sponsors for making it possible, Allen and Major, Fulcrum Associates in the Northeastern University Innovation Campus. I'm very proud to say I got my MPA at Northeastern, so it is great to work in a town where I have the opportunity to interact with my alma mater on a regular basis. Ambitious, adaptable, and livable. These words embody Burlington's approach to our growth and our future. Melissa Tentakoulis, our Economic Development Director, and Rick Parker from the Burlington Area Chamber of Commerce will share what we're doing today and how we're planning for our community's next generation of residents, from restaurant recovery to long-term commercial district revitalization. However, as with any building plans, there must be a solid foundation. To this end, town officials and administration over the years have established a strong financial base for the town, which has been developed through best practices in fiscal management. Conservative revenue budgeting principles have cushioned the financial impact caused by the pandemic. This is reflected in the town's AAA rating from Standard & Poor's. We have managed our tax levy over the years so that we can maintain excess taxing capacity. We tax well below our limitations under Proposition 2.5, which allows us to maintain a very high level of services for our residents without the need for overrides, which is something that many communities are faced with on a regular basis. We invest heavily in the town's infrastructure through our 20-year capital debt plan, and I'm proud to say we are able to focus on the aspects that touch people's lives on a daily basis, such as our roads and sidewalks, our water and sewer mains, and our school and municipal facilities. As we look forward to the state and federal support for recovery, I am confident in our elected officials and our staff to understand the community's needs and to coordinate our efforts to put Burlington in the best possible position to leverage any opportunities that come our way. With that introduction, I'll let Melissa take it from here. I think you'll find her to be a much more exciting and engaging speaker to listen to than I am. Melissa?
All ridiculous, but thanks. I think I'd like to share a few slides. I'll start off by just reiterating kind of who I am in this position. I am Melissa Tentakoulis. I work as the Economic Development Director for the town of Burlington. And it's been a position that, is kind of rooted in what Paul was saying in terms of, being ambitious, being adaptable, and looking forward to, how we create these livable spaces. And so the town put forward, this position to start coordinating, not just kind of planning that's coming down the pipeline and reacting to it, but also planning ahead for the future. So I think that's reflected in this position. So I'll share my slides here, give you guys some visuals on top of me talking a little bit. But this is just a picture actually that was given to me by Simon, the Simon Group over that manages the mall. And I put this up here as our start because I think the mall really defines Burlington in a lot of ways, right? It's this transition moment where we became a regional destination. And I think what I'd like to share a little bit today with you is kind of how we are currently kind of embracing this history that we were very proactive in laying down the foundation for the last 50 years, 60 years, you can see that. And now it's time for us to really kind of do that again for the next 50 to 60 years. In the meantime, we have a pandemic and we need to motivate to get out of kind of the mode of the shutdowns and the slowdowns. So we're ready to kind of move on recovery as well. So with that, I thought we'd talk a little bit about, let me see here, Burlington today, what we're doing this moment in these weeks currently to keep moving us ahead towards recovery in a post-pandemic world. And then we'll talk a little bit about tomorrow and what we're doing for the future. So this slide, I feel like kind of speaks to the things that are happening. So Paul said, you know, the fiscal health. We can't really look to the future if we're on unstable ground. So I think what Paul was talking about in terms of our conservative revenue budgeting, and which is reflected in our AAA score, S&P's AAA score, that, you know, we're a strong municipal organization. And because of that, we've maintained momentum through the pandemic. I think this is, in my mind's eye, I see it kind of on the land use policy as well as kind of day-to-day operations. In the planning department, they worked with property owners in January 2020 to make some changes to the zoning to allow for new life science uses in different spaces. And that's borne fruit over the last year, even through the pandemic. As you could see that, you know, different industries have been affected differently. And we acknowledge that, you know, our retail and hospitality has been hit hard. But at the same time, some of our innovation companies, such as the life sciences and 3D manufacturing, have moved forward. And because we didn't just drop the ball, because we adapted and got technology, moved with our online permitting, maintained some of our regular permitting meetings to expedite projects, that we were able to permit several projects even through the pandemic, which, you know, I'm really proud of. It's not something that everyone can say. It's not that we were, you know, being unsafe. It was that adaptability piece from, you know, staff and working with our industries. So we were really open for business, you know, throughout the last year. We had a task force for recovery. I want to speak to that briefly. That's really staff pulling together to address businesses' temporary needs, whether most of that was about outdoor seating. And you can see in this image, this is something we worked with Tavern on the Square with, you know, setting up these bubbles, making sure they were safe from the Board of Health perspective, from building perspective. But it is an example of how we were able to bring a small staff or a small town staff team together and then make it help make businesses' creative requests come to fruition. And lastly, we were working with the state because the state wants to help communities, but you have to know how to harness the energy. You have to know your community and know your needs. So we have been working with the town center. There's been activity in the town center in different ways. There was an overlay established almost 15 years ago to try to develop a form for the town center the community was looking for. And that came along, and it's still, you know, something we have to go back in terms of some of the zoning we'll look at. But we also had to really kind of see what we have there. There's high occupancy, very low vacancy, and we really want to figure out how to work with what we got. So the state's helping us create kind of what we're calling a placemaking playbook, and I'll show a couple slides related to that. So I'll move on to these pictures here, which just kind of highlight. This one was about the rezoning on 60 Blanchard. This was one of the properties that was rezoned. And by this past year, over this last year, I should say, we had Azure. It's clean rooms on demand. They'll be hosting essentially kind of like a co-working, I'd say, for lab, but at a higher level with, as you can see, these guys have intense sanitation and guards on. So it's at a higher level, but it really shows that this will be, a ground for new creativity, people who are small to medium size, looking for that lab space and that bench space, then to grow and become, larger in kind of their successes for their projects. But what we want to also show that we've also been working on that amenity piece for Burlington. So, the mall had been, retail has obviously, as we all know, kind of has its own trajectory right now. And a lot of what Simon's looking at and larger, I would say, mall and retailers, are looking for experience. How do you still develop that? And I think here, what you'll be seeing as the vaccinations increase and people start to feel more comfortable, these are going to be places that people are interested in again. The Common Craft, is going to be a home for local brewers. You have Parm, it's an Italian restaurant, but it's new to the area. This will be the first one in Massachusetts. And these are things that are going on at the mall to try to create fresh interest at the mall, make sure that people are having that experience. The placemaking, as I mentioned, our town center, just kind of down from the town commons here, it's actually a really cool place. There's a lot of small independent businesses. There's immigrant entrepreneurs down there, but it needs some TLC. So that's what we're kind of giving it with the placemaking. And a lot of planners love placemaking. It's really about, creating these spaces in a light and cheap way that also kind of bring together people for civic engagement, community development. But at the same time, we're leveraging that to bring fresh interest and more foot traffic to these businesses down there so that they can thrive. So that's how that intersection of economic development, community development, and placemaking. And you can see on the right here, this is that top picture, top right is, right by Sweet Ginger, what most of the areas look like. We're working with the property owner to kind of create some sort of pocket park. And this was a mock-up by our architect that worked on this to kind of help people visualize what's possible there at a kind of a heavy price. Light and cheap is what we talk about. So then I want to talk a little bit here about tomorrow. So those are the things we're doing today and the things that we're looking forward into the future, because we're talking about, when Paul and I talk about it, it's like the next 50 years too. You had to keep that in mind for the long term. And if we're not harnessing the incremental development over time, we're going to just get, helter-skelter development. So what we want to do is lay a strategic plan out for our commercial districts. And that's really kind of, if you had to kind of really succinctly say what our economic development strategy is to reinvest and rethink our suburban commercial districts, kind of shifting the suburban paradigm that it has to be all flat. We have to drive to every single parcel. Let's start to rethink that and connect it. But to do that, we need a plan with street level implementation. And that's where mass development and MAPC has come in. So we reached out to them. We talked to the property owners, so some of our key property owners, to get a sense of, what's really in play here. And then shared that with the state and said, we're going to need some help organizing that. So mass development has stepped up, and this year we're going to be working on the Mall Road corridor. That little graphic is just, kind of an initial take at Middlesex Road and Mall Road corridor, that whole area from Leahy down to the cinema, and what is possible. We also I want to share the two other key pieces of looking to the future. It's infrastructure investments and workforce development. As Paul was saying at the beginning, there's a lot of care in, how we're managing our overall infrastructure that touches people's lives every day. And, water is a big part of that, as we all know. And through, working with the chamber, working with our property owners, we secured a grant last year, and that was through MassWorks. And it's going to help move along a $23 million water infrastructure improvement plan. And this now will increase the capacity for growth, support life sciences, and then just make water more reliable for everyone, residents, commercial tenants who are in Burlington. It also happens to support Bedford in terms of the regional water supply and Lexington, so that we're all able to have this appropriate levels of water to help people kind of sustain their lives here in our communities. I think the other piece that we're cultivating, because place is one thing, infrastructure, but it's really the people and the training that we need. We have these great corporations, as M3 knows, that are members here. But like Kids in Tech, we want to link our residents to those opportunities over time. We have a great workforce within the 30 to 45-minute range of Burlington, highly skilled, and we want to keep that flowing. We want to not only offer, kind of our high schoolers, but those people who've been affected by the pandemic, the opportunity to pivot, change direction into some of these careers that are growing. So we worked with Bedford and Mass Hire. We secured a grant through the state, and some of it's through some of the COVID funding. And we are able to supply any resident that meets some of the income requirements, low to moderate income or unemployment for a sustained period, funding $8,000 to $15,000 for any training in life science or the healthcare fields. And Mass Hire connects with them, understands where their background is and where they want to go, and they are the ones that are helping us connect that. And we've also connected with our high schools so that these entities and these organizations talk to each other. So we've just started that this year. We'll keep you updated on how that goes. So just a couple more slides here. This one we put together mainly for the water project that I mentioned in terms of investments. But if you take a look, I think you can see that the green dots are what's permitted. These are projects in the pipeline. So it gives you kind of a feel of the movement, that momentum that I had mentioned. And some of those kind of illustrated in these pictures here. 45 Network Drive, the Nexus, these are projects that are green dots on that previous map, as well as some existing repositioned buildings here on the left, the Burlington Biocenter, and then looking forward to 300 Summit, which was another area that was rezoned in that 2020 rezone that's moving forward through the permitting process. And the housing piece in that middle. Actually, Norbloom is moving forward on a multifamily housing project. And it's not 300 units exactly at this point. They're moving forward on half of them. But that's, trying to speak to that live work mix that's, kind of exciting over in 3rd Avenue. And lastly, these are just a couple of things to keep in people's minds of the industries that we're trying to cultivate. Obviously, life sciences, a lot of people are doing that. I think we're still well positioned for the region. I think that's why, working with Bedford, working with Lexington, we see this, we see our kind of hub here, providing amenities as well as the workforce over time. That's going to really create and anchor us as a life science cluster here regionally. Additive manufacturing, there's some really innovative stuff around metal and now even wood that's coming out that you'll be hearing more about in Burlington. Obviously, healthcare with Leahy, part of our strategic plan will be how do we, really look at Leahy as, and think of ourselves as a wellness district, reposition ourselves, start to incorporate things and, enhance and encourage maybe green more. Maybe we've talked about, it sounds like a pie in the sky now, but like self-driving shuttles that are electric that, that promote wellness, not only for ourselves, but for the environment. So those are elements that we want to infuse in our longer term strategic plan. And I put Northeastern here. I saw Peter and I know the speakers here, but I think this is one of our hidden gems in Burlington that I'm always really excited to share. And I'd like to remind people that Northeastern's amazing. They have this innovation campus at Burlington. Peter, you gave me that tour. We were still all masked up and it was amazing. Not only the level of investment there at the site, but the creativity and the energy, even during COVID, that you could see was coming out of that. And so I just wanted to, always kind of make that plug that they're doing some exciting stuff. And now, what we're trying to do as, our kind of Burlington is become a community partner with them. And I think any of the communities in the M3 region should really, we could talk about it more, but being that community partner to see how we could pilot and test projects and be maybe a little beta, but maybe also establish ourselves as we go forward, as a smart city and one that's, open to the innovation that comes out of our research institutions. So with that, I'll stop sharing. Feel like that was a lot.
Well, Melissa, I was just thinking that, yeah, it doesn't sound like you guys are slowing down at all. First of all, that's a great segue into our next section. But I do have to say, I was thinking as you were talking that you're the first economic development director in Lexington, and I just find that amazing with all the stuff that you're going on. That you're the perfect person at the perfect time. So kudos to you and the town for all the work that you guys are doing. Will we be able to share the slides with everybody?
Yes, I did send you a copy. Only minutes before we could jumped off, but you
perfect. Thank you. We'll send that out to everybody. And will you be able to stick around for afterwards for Q&A too? I don't want to make certain we get to all the speakers before we get into any questions that people have.
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you. So we're going to pivot now to Northeastern University and their innovation campus. And Melissa did a great segue. And I want to make certain that everyone, I want to introduce Sean Williams. Where is Sean? I hate this bingo sheet. Thank you, Sean. Thank you for joining us. But I also want to recognize Peter Boynton and Peter, good to see you, and Rachel Spiller. Rachel, thank you guys for joining the conversation, and I look forward to having another event at the Kostas Research Institute. But first, let's find out what's going on at the Innovation Center. And Peter, I'm going to hand it over to you, and I can make you a co-host if you do have slides to share as well too, so we can do that.
I think actually it'll be Sean, Stephanie.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, Sean, I will make you a co-host.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sean, thanks for joining the conversation.
Sure, happy to be here. Thank you very much. I'm gonna share my screen. Can you see that right now?
Yes.
Super. I think I couldn't have asked for a better introduction to Kostas, or to Northeastern's Innovation Campus and the Kostas Research Institute in particular than the one Melissa gave me. So thank you for that. It's funny because, it's true that, I think the Northeastern's been in Burlington for a long time. But, I'd say that things are changing. Maybe a decade ago, had you gone to the Northeastern campus, you would have found maybe one part-time groundskeeper there because, the days of that being the night school campus of Northeastern were long over. And the question came up, what happens next? And, basically the story continued because of an alum named George Kostas. And during World War II, Mr. Kostas was asked by the Army to go to Texas and set up a synthetic rubber plant during World War II, after the natural rubber supply was lost. He was successful. And because of that work, he got some patents. With the patents, he made some money. He invested that money in oil and made a lot more money. And, later in life said, what could he give back? And he said, the reason that the US was resilient in World War II was because of the partnership between industry, academia, and community. And so we had this campus, and he made the investment to put the Kostas Research Institute for Homeland Security on that site. And that was pretty transformative because it was basically the first of several investments that Northeastern made in what became known as our innovation campus. So today, I know in the past you've talked to Peter about the campus, the Burlington campus at large. Today, I'm going to focus primarily on the Kostas Institute and its mission. And so we have a little bit more perspective, not so much on what we are, but what goes on at Kostas and how we do it. So, Kostas, basically our charter is to be the global leader in technology, innovation, development, to support mission-driven government agencies tasked with achieving the security of our country. And, that's a pretty big statement. And I think that the message and how we operate is important too, because what we said we would do is that, to take advantage of all the bright ideas that are coming out of our university researchers, we have to couple those ideas with the ability to bring it to market. And so Kostas from its beginning was designed as a partnership between those faculty members who are working, at a few grams at a time in the lab bench, and industrial partners who are thinking how to scale up the material, and then other industrial partners who are thinking how to take that material and integrate it into products, and then the DoD agencies who are trying to get those products in the field tested and used by forces. And that's really what the model's been about. I think that you might be surprised at some of the different technologies that are available. So I can talk a little bit about that. So this is kind of a one-pager to show a little bit about what we offer at the Kostas Institute. It's about rapid development, prototyping, transition of technology to the agencies, and really trying to maintain a technological superiority over other nations. For a long time, the US enjoyed sort of a technology advantage over many other countries in the world. This is basically becoming, I think, as you read in the papers, a new era of sort of, peer competitors. And we have to make sure that we can get the technology that we're good at developing into the hands of our forces to ensure that we can protect ourselves. And so that's a lot of what we do. And so Kostas is about the partnership, as I said, between the agencies, the faculty, the institute scientists, and the industrial partners. To give you an idea of the way it worked, in 2013, we got started with about $200,000 worth of grant money from the Army under contract. And I think at the end of 2020's fiscal year, that's going to be cumulatively about $70 million under contract. And so a lot of that money is coming from the agencies, and it's basically being deployed by Kostas to be used by the technical researchers in my team in Burlington, but also to be used by faculty on main campus, to be used by corporate partners and the agencies that are involved. So to give you some idea, I mean, I'm not going to go down the list because some of these acronyms are familiar to everybody, others not so much. Everybody's heard of the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, and the Army Research Labs. There's some other ones in there, the Office of Naval Research and so forth. Many of these agencies either participate with us, some of them are actually physically located on campus. So for example, the Army Research Lab has their Northeast outreach based in Burlington. The Air Force Research Labs have 2 facilities on campus that are closely connected with Hanscom. There are many corporate partners. Raytheon has labs and offices there. Rogers Corporation is there as well and has been there for almost 7 years. There's many smaller companies as well, but then another one that many people don't realize is AeroVironment. AeroVironment is the largest manufacturer of small drones for the US government, and they have labs and facilities on campus. So a lot of these things are kind of not hidden but not well known, and so we thought we'd tell a little bit about that. And you can see some of the capabilities we have here. Those pictures you see, and for anybody who's driven out to the campus, you can see this large area. That's an aerial drone cage. And basically we fly drones out there. Sometimes you'll see the University Drone Racing Club out there flying the drones at night at very high speed. It's really something to see. On the upper right-hand side there, you can see that's the stress lab. That's a lab facility on campus where they take architectural structures and basically apply intense pressure to destroy them and measure basically what happens when buildings are collapse, so they can figure out how to mitigate damage to buildings and basically provide sort of structural fuses that allow people who are in buildings that go through earthquakes and other sorts of disasters time to get out safely. The upper left is something very strange. It's an anechoic chamber. So it's a chamber in there where you get no reflections of echoes or radio signals. And what it allows you to do is you can fly drones in there and you can treat them to all sorts of radio signals, which is the kind of electronic environment they might face in a battlefield or, kind of in a terrorist situation, and basically figure out how to control them, how to prevent them from being damaged, but also how to defeat and counter drones that are trying to basically get into your space and cause trouble. So those are some of the technologies you'll see there. And that's really, as we said, part of what happens on the campus. You'll hear the names in here, so I'll kind of tell a little bit of the story. I've been talking about the Innovation Campus in Burlington, Mass, ICBM, which is Northeastern's campus on that site. There are many things that happen on that campus. The Kostas Research Institute is part of that, and that's the part of Northeastern that I'm coming from. But the Research Institute and the mission that I'm talking about basically got its start on the Burlington campus. Most of its activities today is on the campus, but you can see that when we do work, we don't just do it ourselves. We pull in Northeastern faculty from main campus. We pull in faculty from partner universities. And then Northeastern has many satellite campuses. There's the Rue Institute in Portland, Maine. We have a campus in Seattle. We have a campus in London. We have a campus in Vancouver. And even before COVID, we were doing a combination of in-person and online learning that had a certain local flavor in these spaces. And that's continued and actually flourished under COVID. In fact, some of our students have sort of an international experience where they can spend a semester at a time at any one of these Northeastern campuses, come out of it with a Northeastern degree, but also get sort of the local experience in any or many of these environments. I highlight the one on the right here in Arlington, Virginia. In fact, that's our newest campus that we just signed the lease on. And that one's going to be a little different because in addition to being an educational campus in Arlington, Virginia, just across the Potomac from the Capitol Mall, the Kostas Institute is going to have a strong presence there as well. So it'll be half education and half research, but all of that larger Kostas community that's centered in Burlington today. The Kostas enterprise basically was the brainchild of David Luzzi. David is the Senior Vice Provost for Research at Northeastern. He's a former Dean of Engineering. He's also the Vice President of the Burlington campus and really was the prime mover behind much of this. As I said, in addition to David, I run the technology programs. We have an executive director for DoD programs who manages a lot of the grants and money coming in to do our work and to arrange that to get our co-collaborators and our subcontractors to get their tasks done. We do business development as well to make sure that the money continues to flow. And as you all know, Peter, in addition to being the CEO of the Kostas Institute itself, which holds our security clearance, he's the security officer that allows us not only to do research, but to do classified research on the site, which is something that's a fairly rare thing for academic environments to have available and makes us much more attractive to some of the government partners. I'll just give you an idea of the kinds of technologies that we tend to think of within our portfolio. Some of these are ones that we're very much entrenched in. Other ones are things that we're aspiring to become better at. We do a lot with additive manufacturing and advanced manufacturing, so things like 3D printing. In fact, we have some 3D printers on space, and in part of our newest building, we have a large bay to do additive manufacturing in a makerspace. We do work with, artificial intelligence, machine learning and data processing, and that's for optimization and basically for pattern recognition. I showed you the drone cage, so we do a lot with unmanned vehicles, both in terms of control and management. And, there's a certain, communications and sensing aspect of that work. We do some materials development. We do synthetic materials. We do some biotechnology. Many people don't realize this, but Northeastern has a very, very active program in COVID testing. In fact, probably one of the most high volume testers in the state. And all of that testing for all of Northeastern gets handled at the Kostas Institute in there. So that's something that's been going on through this whole COVID emergency. And it's been, I think, really helped Northeastern keep the students on campus and keep the program running, but also has generated a tremendous amount of data that's contributed to kind of our understanding of the COVID phenomenon. In addition to all these topics, we do work in robotics and enhanced capabilities. So you could think about things like exoskeletons and remote sensor technologies. And then, these days there wouldn't really be any sort of program that didn't have some element of cyber and communications, and they're hard to separate the two. Everything we do anymore is computer controlled. Every computer is vulnerable to cyber attacks. And so we have to think about that as well on a personal level, but also on a government level. And it's interesting too, a lot of these technologies are things that often are researched in the universities. In some ways, it can be a challenge with things as they are to get some of these technologies that are available today in the hands of the military in a quick way. And so that's part of what we're trying to do, is help to facilitate that exchange and to drive technology faster. So this is kind of how it works. We do the DoD related development. We understand what the agencies are interested in. We try to match that with our capabilities. We try to basically get funded for programs that go over multiple years. And if there's a security element or an export control element, we try to manage that. Those funds basically are deployed, as I said, with our staff, our faculty, with corporate partners, with other university partners. And the work itself is technology development. It's computer modeling. We do some training and certification, services and support. And as we go forward, like I said, over the last 7 or 8 years, we've gone from a couple $100,000 to more than $70 million under contract. The question from our leadership would not surprise you to be, okay, how do you make it 100 million? How do you make it 500 million? And so, we're always trying to add capability. We do a lot of work with DoD agencies, but we're starting to expand out into other agencies, DOE, National Science Foundation, National Institute of Health, and try to move more broadly into our partner campuses within Northeastern, but with our partners, both corporate and academic in other spaces. So that's basically the story in a nutshell of what we do in our kind of our little corner of Cummins Park. But certainly, as Melissa said, if it's something that you're interested in learning more about, I mean, we're there all the time, and we've got interesting mix of partners. I think at this moment, there's maybe, I want to say there's about 20, 30 companies on board. Many of them are startups, with just a few people, and that's one of the services we offer to our network, either companies that come out of Northeastern or have a kind of a partnership relationship with one of our other corporate partners, or with the university itself, tend to be reside there. But then some of our partners that are on campus are multi-billion-dollar companies as well. So I'm going to stop there. Peter, if there's anything I missed, please chime in.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. Terrific overview. And Stephanie, I'd just like to make one quick comment. I know that David Moody has sent a chat that we've worked with MITRE for a while, but we are strengthening our partnership with MITRE. And actually that includes a master research agreement across all Northeastern colleges and all of our regional campuses around the country. We're very excited to have that additional partnership with MITRE. And on the COVID test facility, I just want to say we had terrific support from the town of Burlington for the permitting process. Given the urgency of safely opening Northeastern, a permitting process that includes the town, the state, and the federal government that normally takes 18 months, we accomplished in great collaboration last summer in 6 weeks. That is a remarkable example of really another example of George Kostas's vision, that when you collaborate and collaborate well between academia, industry, and our government partners, you really can, I think, make some miracles happen. This means that we've been able to test every student, faculty, staff, and even vendors on the main campus, our Burlington campus, twice a week with PCR-based results, typically in less than 24 hours, with a full-time contact tracing team. And I will tell you that in 3 weeks' time, we will have performed 1 million PCR-based tests since we started in August. And in the last couple of months, we have been able to partner with the Commonwealth and another industry partner to provide our excess testing capacity for K through 12 schools, not only in the Commonwealth, but elsewhere in New England, not all of them, but for the portion that come to us. And we're very happy to share that capacity. We're now operating with a capacity of 15,000 tests per day. Thanks, Stephanie.
I've got to say, I'm always amazed with what is going on at Northeastern, the Kostas Research Institute. There just seems to be so much, and you don't slow down. You just keep adding more and more. And I wonder how many people work there, because the amount of work you guys do, it seems like you have a whole army working there. So, and Sean, I should have started by pointing out that you're new to Northeastern, I believe. But to this area, I believe. So welcome, and I look forward to meeting you in person, and great job with all the work that you guys are doing.
Thanks so much.
And I guess one way I can segue this as well too is, as your companies are growing and growing out of the space that you have, we certainly want to keep them in the region, but hopefully one of the first stops that you make is at national development. Alan, how's that for a segue?
Sounds good. Thank you so much for having me. And I'll give you a little history on the district for those of you who don't know where we're located, right between Leahy Clinic and the Burlington Mall. National Development bought the property in 2013. And upon purchase, we basically undertook a major renovation of the site, of all the buildings. We added 172 key hotel, 5 restaurants that include Tavern in the Square, Tuscan Kitchen, Press Cafe. Island Creek is currently changing over to row 34. And in the hotel, we condoed out another restaurant footprint and put Black and Blue Steak and Crab in there. Basically, within the, it's been 8 years now, we've put $100 million into this site. And one of the goals of the company was to really highly amenitize the park, which I think we've completed. And I'd be remiss if I did not mention the addition of Angela Iannuzzi to our team here at the district roughly 2 years ago. She's on the call and basically has rounded out our team here. That we're just got, so much going on in the last 8 years, but everyone thought once COVID hit, we would slow down. I'm sure all of you remember we're gonna shut it down for 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Well, we came in and basically said to one another, okay, regardless of how this is going to affect the timeline, we need to be ready. We've got 10 buildings, probably 3,500 to 4,000 people that came here on a daily basis. So how can we be cutting edge and get ready to have a safe environment for people to come back to work? We put our heads together with upper management. We were on industry calls constantly, and kudos to my team with Angela, Billy Bellavance, our chief engineer. We put protocols in place, conducting multiple air changes in every building on a daily basis, changing the filtration system to MERV 13s, which is cutting edge, hand sanitizing stations, nanoseptic hand applications, if you will, on door handles, elevator buttons, signage throughout all the common areas. And we're also looking into new technology, which I'm not going to go into, but if it comes to fruition, it's going to be really exciting for the commercial office space. Staying in touch with our tenants was another key factor that we had to do. We're sending out reminders that, we're ready for you to come back. Given how the pandemic really enhanced itself, I guess, if you will, kind of delayed that. And here we are today. We're probably a little over 10 to 15% occupied within the park, but we are ready to take people back. Throughout the year, we had, a few cases of COVID that popped up. Kudos to our cleaning staff. We'd go in, fog the spaces, and people would be ready to come back the next day. So that's what we did as far as COVID. On the retail side, all the restaurants remained open, working with the town and Melissa, who's been great. The outdoor dining was huge for these folks, and trying to get the social distancing protocols and offering outdoor seating, which was huge. We did it for most every restaurant in the park, and a lot of them have now picked up where they left off last year and looking to do all that outdoor seating again. We have another one that we did not have last year. We're looking at doing something with Tuscan Kitchen. It's just in the planning stages right now, but hopefully that comes to fruition and it'll be really exciting. We also reopened our gym in February. It's by appointment only. And we have an operator, a company by the name of Exos, who manages our gym for us. So it's by appointment only, and cleaning after every hour. And it's worked out very well so far. So it's just another incentive for folks to come back. On the leasing side of things, strangely enough, for the most of the year, things were very, very quiet. And within the last 3 to 4 months, we've seen a ton of activity here. We're talking to probably 3 or 4 different companies from various sizes, from 60,000 square feet all the way down to 2,500 square feet. We instituted a pop-up program a few years back, taking 3,000 to 5,000 square foot spaces and just, putting everything in there we could possibly think that a small upstart tenant would really attract themselves to. And they sold like hotcakes, which was fantastic. And we've got some activity going on with that right now as well. One of the things we also have kept going was our relationship with a company called HQO, which is a tenant experience platform. So basically any happenings at the district, we can basically put something on HQO and the entire tenant base can find out about it with your, renewed gym opening and what have you. And that's been a great success for us as well. Obviously through the pandemic, a lot of our budgets were really looked at in great discrepancy, I guess you'd call it. But we looked at the site with nobody here and we pulled off 3 major parking lot renovations last summer. And it worked out great. We saved some money on that. And then another great thing, kudos to Angela on this. She took the lead and we submitted the district for a industry award through BOMA, which is called the Tobies. And we were fortunate enough to win a Toby Award for the district last year, which was a nice feather in our cap. And finally, we're looking at, we've taught, obviously polling a lot of our tenants as to what can we help with you guys coming back to work. And one of the things we came up with was transportation. How do we get young talent out to the district from Boston, where, you know, or New Hampshire? And transportation is one of the things that we're really looking at. I know we had a shuttle, which, you know, with the slowdown, we had to suspend, but we had a shuttle from Alewife coming 4 times in the morning, 4 times in the afternoon, directly to the district to get folks to and from work. But that's basically what's been going on at the district. You know, we're ramping up for the summer, and with the vaccinations, hopefully folks will start coming back. We're hoping September, October, which we've heard a lot of companies talking about, but we are ready to bring them back. And Angela, put no pressure, but anything that I missed?
Hold on. No, thank you, Alan. It's been wonderful to be on Alan's team here at the district. For those of you who don't know Alan, we called him the mayor because he is so invested in our tenant population here. He can walk up and down District Ave and everybody knows him by first name. And it's not just here at the district, it's with all of our partnerships within the town. I know he's on a first name basis with many of you on the call today. So I am so proud to be part of Alan's team. I was so happy that he gave me the opportunity to be able to tell the story about the district, because for those of you on the call that may know what the district looked like before National purchased the park, they really transformed this place into a vibrant, exciting workplace stay environment. And you know, the tenants here are so appreciative of all the amenities that we do have to offer. And I just want to give a shout out to Middlesex 3 and to Rick Parker at the Burlington Area Chamber of Commerce, because part of our Toby win, and Toby stands for Outstanding Building of the Year, was directly related to our relationship with Middlesex 3 and the BACC, and how we, you know, impact the community and what we have to offer here because of our relationships with the 2 organizations. So thank you for all of your positivity and support as we were going through the Toby submission. It was a great win for the suburbs, because it's usually a win for Boston office buildings. So we put Burlington on the map, and we're very proud to be one of the first properties to win that award. So again, thank you to everybody on the call that helped out. And Alan and I go way back. We were very fortunate to work together on another property, and I can't tell you how happy I am to be here on his team. And we are called the A team here because we do go above and beyond for our tenants and our partnerships. And so we hope to see you here at the district soon. Our retail, our restaurants are, you know, exciting and busy, and hopefully we'll see a lot more traffic in the near future.
Well, thank you, Alan and Angela. Thanks for that, the updates, and I look forward to working with you guys on getting the shuttle back on the road as well too. And I know Mike Dalton had a question, but before we get to that, I do want to bring Rick Parker into the conversation. But Alan, I know you started by saying if anyone doesn't know where the district is, I think if they don't, they should make a point of going to one of your restaurants this weekend, because you've got a lot of great restaurants there as well too. And that's my segue to you, Rick, as far as, you know, the restaurants. I can't ask you which one's your favorite, because I don't think you'll tell me.
They're all my favorites.
Like your
Stephanie,
kids,
just-
right?
Just like my kids. And thank you. I think for those of you who are on this call today that are getting to see these people, I'm fortunate enough to deal with them on a daily basis. These are true partners. I mean, we throw that word around a lot, but the relationship between Middlesex 3, the Burlington Area Chamber, and the town is by far one of the leading partnerships in the area. And you've just seen a couple of our members in Northeastern in the district that really are cutting edge in their own respective categories. I know that, and I don't know if I should be talking about this, but Peter reached out to me long before we knew anyone was ever going to need refrigeration and freezers that went down to temperatures beyond normal. He was asking about that a year before. So the technology and cutting edge things that are happening here in Burlington are phenomenal. And it really is a partnership. I think when you talk about some of the things that are happening, and I know Melissa touched upon them, when you talk about the connection to the MWRA, that did take a total team effort from the town, the chamber, and partners to get these things done, looking forward to the future. For those of you that don't know, all industry points to the recovery coming first in the suburbs. And I think the Burlington area is really poised to take advantage of that. We depend so much on our daytime population. And I think that all the trends that we're seeing, that it's going to come back sooner than later. But I ask the people, everyone that's on this, to know about your own observational biases. I think without people going into the office every day, people are now tending to rely on their own social media or sites that they go to. We just did a study with the Cox Media Group of the Greater Boston area, and the feeling out there is much better here locally than it is elsewhere. And it's incumbent upon us as a business community to make sure that we're meeting all those demands of the protocols and safety protocols that need to get done, and actually support local, because this is where the recovery will start. I think you'll see in another month or so, it's probably going to happen faster than any of us had thought. Vaccines are moving out quickly, thanks in part to some of the people on this call. And I think the future is really looking great. And it's really a matter of people taking the precautions, but also understanding that this is the place where we're really going to be leading the city. And it's important for us to make sure that we do it, and that other areas can then follow suit, and we can get back to what we consider to be the new normal. So thank you. Support local restaurants. I do think you will see our area was probably in the Northeast was last to adapt and adopt to al fresco dining, but it's certainly going to be a big part of it going forward. And when you come to the Burlington area, it doesn't matter what you like or anyone that has any restrictions, there's something here for everyone to eat. And we ask that you take advantage of that. So thanks.
Perfect. Great way to wrap this up. And I know it's 1 o'clock. I know people will be jumping off, but I would like to get to a few questions. And Mike, I'm going to ask if you could unmute yourself in just a second. But before people jump off, I do want to thank my sponsors for today's meeting, including Allen & Major Associates, Fulcrum Construction, and Northeastern University Innovation Campus at Burlington. Want to do that before people jumped off. But I do want to, where is Mike Dalton? Yeah, I wouldn't put too much pressure on you to.
No, that's right. Yeah, I just want to ask Alan, I think, is it, fair to say with the amount of activity and just the buzz that's going on, I think you feel it's a little bit better, and noted the activity that you see out there. I want to ask this to the group. Does everybody feel by raise of hands that they see some more activity, even more traffic, silly little things like we've been going in the office every day, and we just start to see like the snow melting. So that's I think a good sign. And I think, Rick, you pointed out, it all starts organically. And when people start to get comfort and notice how things start to come together again, it will feel natural, and it's going to come back pretty soon. So I think too, when big companies make decisions and you're going to hear them soon, that's going to cause a lot more impetus and feel good to get back to the office, and we'll beat this. So.
Yeah, I completely agree. I do feel like we're turning the corner. And I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to all those in-person meetings and going out to the restaurants and,
For sure.
yeah. So thanks for bringing that up. It's a good way to end on a positive note. But I will say if anyone does want to chime in as well too, that's why we keep these as meetings to see if anybody wants to I don't know, voice an opinion, ask a question. Okay. Well, with that, I'm going to say that's a no. And it's a beautiful day outside. I think everyone wants to, hopefully we can get outside and enjoy some of the beautiful weather as well too. So I'll thank everyone. Thank you to all of our speakers. I appreciate all your information, your time, your updates. And we look forward to continuing the partnership and to getting through all of this so we can get back to business as normal or even better than that. So again, thank you everyone, and enjoy the day.
Thanks, Stephanie.
Nice to see you guys.
Thanks, Stephanie.
Thanks, Melissa.
Well done. Thank you.
Yeah, great job. Well, thank you guys.
Talk soon.
Bye, Melissa. Looks like you and Paul have a good chemistry between the two of you guys. I could pick it up just for a little bit of the remarks.
The little pods we are.
Yeah. Thanks, Paul. You guys have a good.
Thanks, Stephanie. Have a
Thanks.
good day.
You too. Take care. Bye, guys.
Bye.